All right, welcome to part two of Basic Life Support. As we have discussed a while ago, that we are following the American Heart Association's guidelines on how to provide CPR. But in the Philippines and in some other countries, they are following the guidelines of American Heart Association, American Red Cross. And for our Muslim brothers and sisters, it's called American Red Crescent. Okay. So Philippine Red Cross or Philippine Red Crescents in the Philippines, but here in Dubai and in Philippine Institute, we're following the guidelines set by the American Heart Associations. AHA. So AHA means American Heart Associations. According to them, so these are the guidelines that you have to follow for the patients or the victim to have a successful recovery. So pag na-follow mo daw itong lahat ng steps na to, most likely your patients will be okay. Now, the top list is IHCA. This is in hospital cardiac arrest, and the bottom line is out of the hospital cardiac arrest. So for caregivers, I usually discuss OHCA, but for CNA, I'll be discussing the in hospital cardiac arrest. Okay, so let's go through that one by one. Number one is early detections, recognitions, and preventions. So majority of the time, ang nasa harapan of the patient are the CNAs, right? Because you are the ones really front-facing or the frontliners in the hospital. The first thing that goes into the room are the CNAs. So most likely, guys, identifications will be, problems will be identified by the CNA. So when you're an effective CNA, you can report it immediately to your nurses, okay? And then after that is activation of emergency response. All rooms in the hospitals has emergency response button. Okay, it's called blue code or code blue. Maybe in some other countries it's called differently, but in majority or in university, it's called code blue. Okay, so para may button doon, i-click mo lang code blue, or you want to call your nurses and the nurses will be the one to identify whether it's really code blue or not. So ano bang nangyayari in the code blue? What happens in the code blue? So once code blue has been activated in the hospital, all the emergency response team, so including your nurses, your supervisors, all the doctors, especially on that ward, the doctor of that patient, goes into that room. Kasi pag emergency, again, it's a matter of life and death. Therefore, all the help you can get would be really appreciated. So once you have code blue, lahat sila pupunta doon. Okay? And then, high-quality CPR, which is going to be done by the nurses and the doctors in the hospital. Defibrillation, which is readily available in the hospital. Alam mo yung defibrillation, guys? That's the machine that provides shock to your patients. Parang yung clear, tsh, clear, tsh, yung ganon. Yun yung defibrillator. Okay? And then, post-cardiac care. Usually, in the hospital, the patient will be brought to the ICU because, again, it's a critical condition, it's a threatening condition, so therefore intensive care is really required. And then final recovery, which includes yung therapist, yung laboratories, yung medications, managements, lahat-lahat ng yun, it's part of recovery. So if you're able to go through all the stages, most likely, according to American Heart Association, the recovery of the patient is very good. But if you fail to go through that one of the links of survival, then the patients may not survive. Okay? Outside of the hospital, for example, for caregivers, or maybe you at home in the outside the hospital, number one step is you have to activate the emergency response. How do you do that? You just have to call 998, right? High quality CPR, which I will be teaching you today, defibrillations, and then advanced defibrillator, guys, if ever that you have an AED, it's automated external defibrillator, yung external nga, AED is yung automatic na AED na nabibit-bit lang that you can carry. It's readily available in all the parks, in all the public stations or the public areas like the metro station, the bus terminals, the parks. It's usually there. But in the Philippines, unfortunately, we don't have that. Okay, so kasi pag ilalagay mo doon, kinabukasan wala na yun. Nanakaw na siya. Then advanced resuscitation, which is obviously the rescuers or the emergency unit. And then you have to be brought to the hospital, which is again in the ICU. And then recovery is when you go to your doctors for checkups. Okay, so ano yung sinusunod natin? Ang sinusunod natin guideline is American Heart Association. Philippines, American Red Cross. So for the baby, ganun din naman IHCA o HCA. It's very self-understanding. Explain ko na yan. So let's not go through that. Now, let's talk about cardiac arrest at saka heart attack. Kasi kanina may na-confuse. Sinabi niyang heart
Card-
arrest. Tama ba yun? Or cardiac attack? Cardiac
Cardiac
attack.
attack. Cardiac.
So, I have mentioned this in human anatomy and physiology that our hearts functions in two ways. One is through the pump of the blood, and the other one is because of electricity. So dalawang mechanism. So even if you don't think about your heart continues to pump blood, even if during your sleep time, or even if you want to commit suicide, it continues to pump blood because of the electricity that's being released by our brain. But if in case that your brain stops sending messages to your heart, and if the electricity of your heart stops, that's what you call cardiac arrest. However, if there's a blood clot, for example, there's a like cholesterol or diabetes, or there's a bleeding in your heart, you might encounter heart attack. Pero guys, externally, okay, on the outside, you will not be able to identify immediately whether that person is having heart attack or cardiac arrest. That's why in most commonly sa hospitals or most people, they would think that heart attack and cardiac arrest are the same because sa labas, sa externally, pare-pareho lang. Nagaganon yung patients, nahihirapan huminga, they can hardly breathe, para silang nasa stress. So, and then finally, they fall down on the floor. Then, nagkaroon ng cardiac arrest. Nagkaroon ng heart attack. So, on the outside, it's the same, but on the inside, it's different. So, if you think about it, for example, in your flat, okay, if you don't pay your dewa, what happens to your electricity?
Cut.
So,
Cut.
brown out, right? So
Brown.
that's what's happened during the cardiac arrest. But for example, if you are pooping, okay, you are in the toilet and you are nalibang or tumatae, tapos yung tae mo napakatigas, your stool is very hard, and then you don't have water to flush the tae, what happens in the tae? It got stuck,
It's stuck.
right? Hindi maka-flow yung water. So that's what you call heart attack. Something is blocking the oxygen from being delivered to your heart. So that's what's heart attack. If you talk about electricity, that's cardiac arrest. If you talk about blood clots or blocks, that's what you call heart attack. Okay, got it? But on the outside, they're all the same. How do you know, by the way, that the person is having a heart attack? Now, I wanted to imagine, okay, if that your heart is being sat down by an elephant on your chest. There's an elephant sitting on your chest. What will you feel, Maria Fe?
It's too heavy.
Too
You
heavy?
can't
Ano yung feeling ng too heavy ng heart? Show me nga.
like
Can't breathe.
Yes, like that. What else? Can you breathe, Abdullah?
Heart.
No breathe.
No breathing, right? You can.
you can't.
Yeah,
Parang gumaganon-ganon ka, and then what will happen in your brain? What is going on? Something is wrong with me. Then you start to get
yeah,
confused. You
brain
start to
also
get,
not working, like I'm
yes.
fell down, like that happen.
And then finally, and it happens like in an instant, very quick lang siya. And then finally you collapse because you cannot breathe anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, that is cardiac arrest. So again, let me just verify. Now, if you don't have, for example, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sodium, if you are having a problems of that, it usually causes an electrical problem in your heart. So that's what you call cardiac arrest. Okay, but if you're eating too
Morning,
much.
sir. Sorry po, late ako.
Hi, Sarah. Good morning. Next, we're
Good
talking
morning.
about
Good afternoon
CPR.
na pala.
Oo. Now, another instance is, for example, if you're eating too much fats, cholesterols, bad cholesterols, and then slowly nagkakaroon ng deposits in your ugat. Okay, so as you smoke a lot, as you drink a lot of alcohol, as you stress yourself out, no sleep, no rest, no nothing, and everything. So this blood clot will now grow and grow bigger. So these oxygens or the red blood cells can no longer pass through the ugat or the veins. Therefore, it's blocking the oxygen from here. Therefore, no oxygen will be delivered to your heart, and that's why it causes you heart attack. All right. So Now, with all the conditions, drowning, inhalation of smoke, heart attack, cardiac arrest, all of that could cause you to die, okay? Now, or to collapse. So how do we respond if somebody is unconscious? So please, like, write this down. Itong doctors A, B, C, D. Saan ba dapat? Ito. So doctors A, B, C, D. D-R-S, doctors A, B, C, D.
Danger.
Okay,
Response. And
so don't worry, we'll go through that one by one. Okay, letter D is danger, R is response, S is send, A is airway, B is breathing, CPR, and then finally, you will give a shock, which is defibrillation. So we're going to go through that one by one. Now, let's talk about danger. So letter D is danger. So as I've always mentioned to you, my top priority talaga for you guys to learn from me is that you have to make sure that you are safe. Okay? So who is our top priority? The victim or you?
You. Myself. Ours you.
Yourself, right? So if you're going to put yourself in danger, so there will be no more, I mean, there's not only one victim, but there will be already two. Ikaw yun, okay?
yes.
So you have to make sure, number one, that you're out of danger. So danger, can you all look on the top? Look up. Okay, so look up. See if, for example, there's an earthquake or there's a typhoon or something. Please do check on the top if there's any falling debris, any danger that you might encounter from the top. Okay, now look right and left. So for example, if you're in the highway or you're in a dangerous area, you have to also check whether you will be hit by a car or a flying objects or whatsoever in case of typhoon. Now look down. Okay, you also have to check whether there are live wires, there are mga bottle, so mga broken glasses or mga sharp objects that could cause you to also be injured. So that's letter C. Control the situation, or clap, control the situation. If you are in a public area, for example, at the beach, for example, or in a market or in the church, so you have to control the situation. Please give a space, okay? So don't come near the patient or the victim. Look for potential hazards. So look up, left and right, and look down also. Assess the situation. Kaya mo ba talaga? Now, for example, if there's a bus, okay, and there's a bus which is in an accident area and then the entire all the passengers are injured. So assess mo, can you do it on your own? Who are you going to prioritize? Are you going to prioritize the pregnant lady? Are you going to prioritize the baby? Are you going to prioritize the old or the elderly people? So you have to assess the situation, and then letter P is to protect and prioritize. So protect. So my questions for you, for example, you're in a situation, there are a lot of victims, okay, let's say in a bus accident. Who are you going to help first? The elderly woman or the pregnant woman or the guy with only a cut, a simple cut?
The one, the pregnant woman.
The pregnant woman.
Pregnant
The
woman.
So the one
elderly
who have
woman.
cut.
For me, the pregnant
The
woman.
one who have cut.
Sino yung sumagot ng the one who have cut?
An assistant.
Asis. Bakit Asis? Why? Why will you help first the guy?
So the other guy can help me also, sir, to revive the other, to help the other victim.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who agrees with Asis? Para nag-disagree sila lahat kay Kuan, yung pregnant woman.
Yeah, pregnant woman.
Pregnant woman, sir.
You know, on top of my head right now, Aziz is actually correct. So imagine you're the only person there that's capable of helping, right? But if there's a guy there that is less injured, okay, Aziz, for example, si Aziz is less injured. If I will help Aziz, can Aziz help some other people also?
Yes.
Right, yes. So this time, your help is being multiplied. So instead of you focusing on the pregnant woman that may likely die, or the elderly woman, even if she survives, her life will already be short. So might as well focus on someone who can help you help other people as well. That way, your help will be multiplied. Hindi lang ikaw ang nagbibigay ng tulong, kundi pati na si Aziz nagbibigay ng tulong. So maybe you can help the pregnant woman now, and then Aziz can help the elderly person or some other who is less injured. So if you're in that situation, for example, in the exam, and then there's questions like that, focus on someone who can help you later on help other people as well. Okay? Don't kayo mag-focus sa most likely to die. So kung sino man yung malapit ng mamatay, wag mo na siyang, or sorry, hindi mo siya tutulungan, pero you have to prioritize someone who is capable of helping someone, and the likelihood of them surviving is high. So that's kailangan mo unahin mo na pag-help. Okay, that is letter D. So danger in the steps. So look up, look left and right, and look down. Check for the scene and say that the scene is safe. Okay, so I want you to say this with me. Check the scene. So look at me muna. Check the scene. Look up, look down, left and right.
Check the scene.
The scene is safe. Everybody? Okay, 1, 2, go.
Check the scene.
Check the
The
scene.
The
scene.
scene.
Look
Look
down.
up, look
left
down,
and right.
left and right.
Up and
Left
down,
and
left and right.
Left and right.
Right.
And then say that the scene is safe.
Yes. Scene is safe.
The scene is safe.
The
Okay.
scene is the same.
Scene is safe.
Yes, that is correct. That's step number 1. Okay, number 2. R is response. So you have to check the victim. So if ever that the scene is safe, then continue with letter R. If hindi siya safe, if it's not safe, bring the patient or the victim to a safer area. For example, we're experiencing earthquake, and anytime that the building may fall, so you have to move the patients or the victim out on the safe area in a flat surface area, and then continue with step number 2. Okay, which is R, and its response. Simple lang letter R. You just have to make sure that your patient is responding. So you have to tap the shoulder, here on the shoulder, and give pain to the patient, okay? Hindi pwedeng pabebe. Dapat talaga hard na tap para to alert the patient that somebody's helping them. So, hey, 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 are you okay? 2 times, okay? So on the chest, you have to tap the patients like this. Hey, 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 are you okay? Hey, hey, are you okay? 2 times. Now, probably if you go to YouTube, you will see someone doing it 3 times. But according to the latest update coming from American Heart Association, or AHA, you only need to check whether the patient is alert or conscious 2 times. No more than that, because remember, time is your enemy. So the longer that you stay in assessment, so the lesser the chance of surviving of that person, okay? Hey, hey, are you okay? Now, again, let's start from the beginning. Check the scene, look up, look down, left and right. The scene is safe. Approach your patients and then ask for response. Hey, 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 are you okay? 2 times. Can you do that? 1, 2, go.
Check
Hey,
up,
hey, hey, are
check
you
down,
okay?
Hey,
check
hey,
left
hey,
and
are you
right.
okay?
Scene is clear.
Yes.
Then we approach our patient and ask, hey, 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 are you okay?
Okay.
Hey, hey, are you okay?
Okay.
are you
Okay, ganito lang yan,
Hey,
number 1.
hey, are you okay?
Okay. Wait. So ganito lang, this is what you have to do, okay? You will say, check the scene, and then you don't say look up, look down. You just do it, okay? So you only have to say check the scene.
Check the scene.
Check the
Right?
scene.
And
Check
then
the scene.
the scene is safe.
Check the
scene.
scene outside.
Then,
Hey,
hey, hey, hey, are you okay? 2
are you
times.
okay?
Hey, hey, are you okay?
Okay, look at me. So, okay, when you start, you just say, check the scene.
Check the scene.
The scene is safe. Then you have to approach a
safe.
patient, and then you
Scene is
tap the
safe.
patient's shoulder. Hey, hey, are you
Hey,
okay?
hey,
Hey, hey, are you
Are you
okay?
okay?
2 times.
Okay.
So there could be 2 responses. Either the patients will not respond, or the patient will respond. If the patient say, then the patient is
The response.
alert. Okay, no need to proceed. But if the patient will not respond to you, then you have to proceed to the next step. How about the baby? How can you elicit response from the baby? So this is where your Babinski reflex comes in, okay? Hold the baby in a safe position, in a flat position. Hold or touch the sole of the patient's or the baby's foot, and then like take out the baby, put letter S or letter J. If the baby's toes will do like this, meaning the baby is okay. Now, if the baby will not respond to your actions, then the baby is unconscious. Okay, so you do not expect the baby, baby, are you okay? And the baby will say, okay lang ako. Okay. Tiyanak yan. Takbo ka na, kakainin ka ng baby. So, if the baby cries or the baby moves its toes or foot, then the baby is conscious. If the baby is not, then proceed to the next step, okay? Letter D, danger. Letter R, response. Doctors, A, B, C, D. Now, let's go to letter S.
Airway.
Okay, wala pa na dito yung letter S. Okay? So, letter S is send someone for help. So, if you're in a public and there's a lot of people, you just have to identify one person that can help you, okay? Hey, you in the white shirt, please call 998, get an AED, and come back. Okay? Marami yun. You, point the person. You, okay? Call 998, get an AED, and come back. Can you try, Ahmed? 1, 2, go.
Hey, you. Can you please call 998 and get back to me?
AED, don't forget. Let's try again. Joshelle.
Hey, you. Can you call 998 and come back to me?
Now you forget
No.
AED, Ahmed. Now I want
The
Joshelle to
AED?
try.
Hey, you. Get
Ikaw,
AED.
Joshelle, try.
Hey, you. Can you call 998 and get AED and come back to me?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
So AED, guys, this stands for Automated External Defibrillator. So in hospital, this used to be a very big machine and it's heavy. But outside the hospital, it's very light and you can carry it anywhere. Automated External Defibrillator. I will show you later how it looks like.
AED.
External.
AED.
Call 999, get AED.
Now, what if naman, Lugin, there's a lot of people. So, hey, you, sino? Who? Ako? Siya? Sino ka sa amin? So, how do you identify whether you're talking to me? So, like, say, for example, I'm wearing a black shirt, okay? Hey, you in the black shirt, please call 998, get an AED, and come back. Okay, can you do that, Lugin? 1, 2, go.
Hey, you in a black shirt, can you call 998 and get EED and come back to me?
Sure, but where's the AED?
Yeah, I said gate na EED and come back to me.
No, I'm asking you, where can I find the AED?
It's near the...
Saan nga ba?
Call 998.
At the backside of the grave.
So I want to challenge you
It
later on if
depends upon
once you go to a public area, for example, at the
place.
metro station, try to search where the AED is. But usually, guys, the AED is near the fire extinguisher or near the exit,
okay.
or it could be near the telephone booth. Okay, so usually it's near the exit, near the mga area for security guards. It should be somewhere there. Okay, and then see how it looks like. All right, so that is S.
Okay.
So doctors, A, B, C, D. Now let's go to letter A.
Airway.
A. So in American Heart Association, nauuna ang pagbibigay ng hangin versus ang pagbibigay ng ganon versus sa hangin. But sa Red Cross, they provide mouth-to-mouth resuscitation versus the pump of the heart. Okay. Anyway, A is airway. So for airway, guys, you have to check whether your patient's breathing or not. Okay. So how do you check that one? So if you're lying down like this, imagine I'm lying down. Okay. I'm not sitting down. I'm lying on the floor, on the flat surface. You have to tilt my head.
Sorry.
Tilt the head and then open the mouth like this. Okay. So can you do that? Tilt the head and open the mouth like this. Okay, that is head tilt and their chin lift. So ano tong tawag dito, chin? Anong sa Tagalog ang chin?
Baba.
Baba.
Buksan ang baba, okay? Itaas ang
Baba.
ulo, buksan ang baba. Airway. And then, check for airway. So, look, listen, and feel, sabi dito. So, when you look at the chest, whether the chest is rising and falling, the rise and fall of the chest, para makita mo kung humihinga ba talaga ang patients. Listen for the sound of breath. Ano ba yung sound ng hininga? Diba? So, you have to look at the chest, at the same time your ears, you have to touch the patient's nose and mouth to feel whether and listen whether the patient's really breathing. Next, circulations, airway, breathing, and circulations. At the same time, guys, you have to check for the pulse. So while the patient's lying flat, okay, while you feel the patient's breathing and you check the patient's chest rising and falling, your two fingers, you have to touch the pulse of the patient. So can you touch your Adam's apple?
Yeah.
Adam's apple, right? And then move a little
Yes, sir.
bit here. And then feel your pulse. Can you feel your pulse?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So feel your pulse. Now then, so look, listen, and feel to your patient's breathing. At the same time, look on the chest of the patient's rise and fall. And then these two fingers, check the pulse of your patients and then count for 10 seconds, okay? Feel, look, listen, and feel, and count for 10 seconds. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you have to identify whether the patient is or positive breathing or positive pulse. Okay, let me just give you whiteboards. Can you see my whiteboard? Can you see the whiteboard? No.
No, sir.
No.
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 No po.
How about this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
out
sir.
now.
Okay, so let's imagine you have different scenarios. Okay, so this is your pulse and this is your breathing. So there are different scenarios, and then let's see what to do. And then last here is action. Okay, now when you have pulse, positive pulse, and then if your breathing is positive, what will you do? Are you going to continue with CPR or not?
Not.
No.
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 Instead,
No continuous CPR.
yes, because the patient is buhay or alive, so no
Yes.
need to proceed. Recovery position. I will show you what's a recovery position later on, okay? Next scenario. Walang pulso. The pulse is negative, but the patient is breathing. So humihinga pero walang pulso. Negative pulse, positive breathing. Anong gagawin mo?
Continue, mate.
To CPR.
CPR, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
Proceed or
CPR.
perform CPR. What if
CPR.
naman there is no pulse and the breathing is also negative? The patient is not breathing and no pulse. Negative pulse, negative breathing. What are you going to do?
You don't need
CPR.
to do.
You don't have to do
CPR.
anything?
CPR again.
CPR.
Again, CPR.
CPR.
Okay. Another scenario is there is pulse pero hindi siya humihinga. Negative breathing. What are you gonna do?
CPR.
CPR again.
Mouth to mouth.
Mouth, yes. Head straight and then chin lift.
Yes. So what we do with this is what we call the breathing or the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, okay? But we will call it as mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I don't know spelling. Resuscitation. Okay? Now, guys, this mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is an old term. Therefore, we are no longer using the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, okay? The term right now which is used is called rescue breathing.
Rescue.
Yes, you
Yes,
breathe.
yes. You know why it's no
Breathe.
longer used? Because nowadays we don't really use the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation anymore because of COVID, because of mga infectious disease. So if you put your mouth to the mouth of the victim, you might get
Yeah.
infected kung ano man yung sakit ng patient. So instead, we do the rescue breath. And aside from that, if you are assisting a baby or an infant, okay, you don't do mouth to mouth. You put your mouth in the mouth and nose of the baby. Therefore, this is not really parang helpful ang mouth to mouth. So in general, we call that as a rescue breath. Okay? Now, another situation. What if you think meron or wala? Positive or negative, or maybe I'm not sure. I think there's none. What will you do?
You still continue the CPR.
Right. So as I've mentioned, it's better to help than not give CPR at all. Okay? So if you're doubtful of your judgment, whether the patient is breathing or not, whether the patient has pulse or not, might as well continue the CPR. Okay? So you can take a screenshot of this, or maybe you can write it properly or neatly on your notebook. Again, if there's positive and if there's positive pulse, positive breathing, you have to perform recovery position. Recovery position, guys, is just putting your patient on the left side, okay? And then observing your patient. And another scenario is when there is no pulse, negative pulse, and positive breathing, you have to perform CPR. Negative, negative, CPR.
CPR.
Positive pulse, merong pulso but the patient's not breathing, hindi siya humihinga, you have to give rescue breath. Okay? Pag you're not sure, might as well proceed with CPR. So guys, if you notice here on the screen, if for example that you're not, if the pulse is always negative, okay? If the pulse is negative, regardless kung ano man yung breathing status niya, once the pulse is negative, right away, immediately perform CPR.
CPR.
So that's how you memorize that easily. So if the patient's negative pulse, continue CPR.
CPR.
Okay, so can you please like take note of this, because this will come out in your exam. Yeah, correct. No, CPR, CPR. Okay, tama. All right. So that is doctors D, R, S, A, B, and C. Now let's go now to letter C, which is the circulation, and then CPR. So I already informed you, right, how to check
Yeah.
this. Adam's apple, slide a little bit, and then that will be your carotid pulse, okay? Now, there's a difference between the pulse of the patient who is adult and child. Now, question, how do you know, for example, you don't know anyone, you're just walking in the market, and then somebody help, 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 somebody help me. My baby or my child has collapsed. How do you know whether that person is already an adult or a child? Jennifer. Sino bang mga sagot? Jennifer?
I think, sir, maybe here at the neck.
Huh?
Those
Sir, please the question again, please.
So Ahmed,
you
when
know?
you see someone lying on the floor, okay, how do you know
Yes, sir.
that person is still a child or is already an adult? Look at
Maybe in Adam's apple
so
For physical.
Adam's apple daw. Ako naman wala naman akong Adam's apple, so it means
No,
I'm a
sir.
child.
You can see on his physical appearance, like
So can you look at Ahmed? Is Ahmed already adult or a child?
Adult.
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 You're judgmental. So, how about, let's say, yung mukhang baby dito? Sino ba yung mukhang baby dito? How about si Palen? O, di ba? Mukhang baby lang siya dun sa picture ni Palen. So, is Palen an adult? So she's already an adult because we know her. But what if you don't know that person? Now, the only way for you to know whether the person is an adult or not, number one, for male patients, if the male has facial hair, okay, like mustache and beard. So, not pubic hair, okay? So, hindi mo bubuksan yung zipper ng tao tapos, uy, may pubic hair, adult. Pag walang pubic hair, ay, children. So, it's not
Sometimes
like
there's
that.
adult person.
So there are some people they are old, but they don't have some.
I have no comment, okay? So, now, for male patients, you have facial hair. For female naman patients, they have boobs
Breast.
or breast.
Okay.
I know there are some female that doesn't have boobs, so you judge na lang. Naging judgmental ka pa. Okay. Why am I telling you this? Because in American Heart Association, they're saying that if the patient's adult and child, you have to locate the pulse using their carotid pulse. But if the patient is infant, you have to check the brachial pulse. Okay? Can you touch your brachial pulse? Itong sa gilid. It's on your armpit, on the inner side of your arms. Not on your armpit, Aziz. Dito sa, yung sa pang BP. No, not there. Dito sa may siko. You
Sa
have to
ibabaw
feel
ng
your...
saksi.
Yes, yes. So, Abdullah, it's not in the middle. It's on the side of your armpit. Okay? The pulse should be there. So,
Yeah,
can you
there's
feel
a
your
pulse.
brachial
You
pulse?
can feel your pulse also.
You know how it
Yeah.
is when you go to the nurses and they check your BP and then they have to put the stethoscope on this part of in the area of this hand. That is your brachial pulse. So if you are assisting an infant, you don't check for the pulse on their neck. You have to check the pulse on their arms, which is called the brachial pulse.
Oh.
Okay. Now, how about for child? So as I've mentioned, if she doesn't have a breast, if for a baby girl, for a girl child, or no facial hair, no facial beard for a boy, then you have to check their femoral pulse. The femoral pulse is you're seeing it. It's in between your legs, okay? So the pulse in your legs, that's you're seeing it, okay? Don't worry, guys. Once we are back in the school, I'll go through this again, like a faster way, then we can refresh our memory on this, okay? I know it's difficult now since we're online.
Femoral pulse.
Yep. So these are the high quality CPR according to American Heart Association. So I want you to listen to this because this will make you different or separate you from the people who doesn't have knowledge or education regarding the good CPR or the effective CPR versus the people who does not have knowledge on this. Okay. So anytime I'll be like this session will be finished. So again, I'll see you in 10 minutes, 12:50. Okay. So, para tuloy-tuloy yung topic natin. 12:40 na ngayon. I'll see you in 12:50. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.